much. Janice will stay on top of that for us. And in the meantime, let's go back to Washington, where there are some serious new questions that are being raised about President Obama's stark warning that if the debt ceiling is not raised by August 2nd, which is less than 3 weeks from now, seniors may not get their Social Security checks starting the next day on August the 3rd, as soon as that. This is the president's interview with CBS yesterday where he talked about this.
Can you tell the folks at home that no matter what happens, the Social Security checks are going to go out on August the 3rd? There are about $20 billion worth of Social Security checks that have to go out the day after the government is supposedly going to go into default.
Well, this is not just a matter of Social Security checks. These are veterans' checks. These are folks on disability and their checks. There are about 70 million checks that go out.
Can you guarantee, as president, those checks will go out on August the 3rd?
I cannot guarantee that those checks go out on August 3rd if we haven't resolved this issue, because there may simply not be the money in the coffers to do it.
All right, so that's the back and forth in that interview. Let's bring in our panel. Fox News contributor Michael Goodwin, Jim Martin, chairman of 60 Plus Association, and Jammu Green, former president of the Women's Media Center and a Fox News contributor. Welcome. So this got huge amount of attention after he said this. The president basically said there is a chance that seniors might stop getting those Social Security checks as early as a couple of weeks from now.
I think that this is like a bad movie, that we've known what the ending was going to be, but now it's starting to seem like there's some actual twist that is going to be quite surprising. This is a serious matter, and I think he's been saying this. He's been saying you can't hold our economy hostage in the way that Republicans are trying to do. There's just not any, I think, rationale that is behind holding our economy hostage in the way that
but the president
can
make this decision about where the money will go. There'll still be revenue coming in, and the president can decide how that revenue will be used. Well, Bernanke
testified today that bond payments would have to be the first set of payments to go out. But everyone has their top priority, whether it's military families or Social Security checks or the 500,000 jobs that we would lose. You don't have the money for all of the top priorities, and that's why we have to get adults to the table. It's not about eating the peas. It's about taking medicine.
Here's what the chief actuary has just said. This just crossed the wires moments ago. The chief actuary for Social Security confirms to Congressman Holzkamp that a decision to withhold Social Security checks would be made by the Treasury, Mr. Martin. So what say you?
Well, I say this is fear-mongering at its most reprehensible by the president. And you just confirmed what I just heard from Congressman Holzkamp's office 20 minutes ago, that the decision will be made by the Treasury Department, i.e. the White House. Senior citizens deserve better than this. It's a page right out of Bill Clinton's book, back when Robert Rubin said the same thing. Seniors get scared into the voting booth every election cycle. I think it's in their DNA. Seniors are tired of it. They won't stand for it. And by the way, go a step further. $200 billion will come in the first day or two. And I think Mr. Goss said this, maybe it's $20 billion, $23 billion, maybe a little over 10% of those monies for Social Security. I got to tell you, I can go without my check for a while. I talked to a lady, Hilda, just a little while ago, and she said, look, what's this business about? I've paid into the system all my life. And what are you talking about, the coffers?
Yep.
I said, well, the coffers are empty.
Yeah. Michael Goodwin.
Well, look, I think what the president did yesterday was fear-mongering. I think we also have to understand that both sides are trying to play for advantage. They're trying to play for advantage for the next year's election, but also who will escape the blame and who will be held as the victor in all this. And I think what the president needs to do is rise above this. And there's a deal available. I mean, he could easily get a deal with the Republicans, but he wants it on his terms. Republicans want it on their terms. I think, as Jammu said, we know what the ending's supposed to be here. I still believe we're going to get there.
But here's what strikes me. What we're talking about here is Band-Aids. It's exactly what the president said he didn't want to do. Just put a Band-Aid on this situation. But it sounds like that's what we're going to end up doing. In order to get to the real brass tacks of this, and I feel like Americans across the country understand this in very stark terms, we need real tax reform. We need genuine spending cuts. None of that, Jammu, has been detailed by the White House in terms of what they would cut. What are they willing to cut? Because Republicans are saying that the $1 trillion that they came up with is smoke and and mirrors, according to Senator McConnell.
The president has been very clear that he's willing to make tough choices.
What are they?
He's put entitlements on the table. He is
What
willing to come to the table. Republicans, what they are saying is the shared sacrifice is increasing the debt ceiling, and that's it. There is no negotiation. Learning about politics as a young woman, all I knew was that it's about compromise. You come to the table. The president says, give me, tax increases for millionaires and billionaires and hedge fund managers who are paying less than their assistants in their office. Put that on the table, and we'll also then do $3 trillion in spending cuts.
Well,
Republicans say no, no deal at all.
I think you're overlooking one thing. There was an election last year. 2010 was a landslide against President Obama, against the run-up in the debt and the deficit. People in this country, 70% of them don't even want the debt raised. So when you talk about shared sacrifice, the public has made up its mind. The president is on the wrong side here, and he should get on the right side by trimming the spending.
People don't understand the issue.
Right,
they don't get it. They don't understand.
How important
he said, frankly, they're more concerned about jobs, and I think that's absolutely true.